Hello, friend. It's Mark out on the back 40. It is early September on the west side of Michigan. We're out on the property. I just want to get you a food plot update because things have kind of really been messed up this year. And I want to show you the height of the sorghum, what we got after late planting, maybe show you some of the lanes, just kind of show you all the stuff that I've done in the food plots. I am breaking my most important rule on the property, which is not to go out on the property after Labor Day. And I am out here a week and a half after. It's like the 8th or 9th or something like that of September. But I'm doing it in the quest for knowledge. Is that okay? Does that make it right? Can I make that excuse? But what I just kind of want to go through here is because we've kind of done some different things this year. And I want to kind of wrap it all up and then obviously get off the property here. Just as a quick reminder, if you didn't see the videos before, you haven't watched, I planted in the spring, I planted perennial clover all through here with some oats and soybeans and a bunch of stuff. About a month later, I realized, I went out and looked at the plots and there was weeds everywhere. The worst weed right now is horsenettle. So after doing some research, I decided that I had to get the horsenettle under control, which meant sacrificing that whole planting this spring. So not only did I sacrifice the cost of doing it, but I also sacrificed the time. Right now I have lost basically a whole year of being able to get that perennial clover growing to be a living mulch and to do that experiment and see if that works. So it was not fun, but it's my own fault. It's because I have not been controlling weeds. And so that comes around to where we are right now, which is the end of 4th of July weekends. I came out and I drilled, I sprayed everything with glyphosate, and you can go back a couple of videos and see that whole thing. And then I drilled in crimson clover, Cossack oats, winter wheat, and some sorghum. And the thinking behind all of that was, number one, I wanted clover in here to pump some nitrogen in the soil, and the deer just really like it. Number two, the oats and the wheat, I wanted to try those instead of rye for 1 year, just to see, do the deer like it more? Do they not like it? How does it react? How does it overwinter? That kind of stuff. This was a good time to do that experiment. And then number three experiment was planting sorghum in early July. In Michigan, does it have enough time to get tall enough to be a screen in the food plots? So that was kind of the whole purpose of all those plantings that I did in July. So here we are now in early September, and I can report on, let's start with the sorghum. The sorghum, and I'm going to stand over here, look at this. I can't believe it. I'm so happy. I mean, the sorghum is at my shoulders. It's probably 5 feet tall through this whole thing. So is this tall enough to be a screen inside the food plots? I think the answer is yes. You know, if I stand here, well, I came out here and I mowed, you can see the shooting lane right here. I mowed this a few weeks ago, and that's why it's coming back up, but it's still in the shooting lane. It's about to my knees, and then over here, it's about to my shoulders. Debating if I should mow this again or not. I don't know the answer to that yet. But anyways, so this has been mowed, and for two reasons it's mowed. Number one, to be a shooting lane. Number two, it knocks the sorghum lower so sun can get down onto the clover and keep the clover and the oats and everything going. Okay? So because the deer are out here mowing on this stuff every freaking night right now. So it's pretty amazing. So I've got that done. So the sorghum, yes, it worked. Everything else, is it growing? Yes, it's growing very well. And everything else being the clover and the grass and, you know, the oats and wheat, that's growing very well. The deer are definitely eating the clover. It's crimson clover, that's all it is. And the oats and the winter wheat, I don't know how to tell the difference between them. I'm sure I could look into it, but I don't know. But they are nipping at it. They are starting to nip it off, and they are eating some of that. And they don't eat the sorghum, but that's not the purpose of the sorghum. So I'm really happy, actually, with how all of this is turning out here in early September. You know, come late October and November, when it really matters, I don't know if I'll be happy or not. But right now, it's going very well. So So I've got the lanes mowed, I've got the cover going. I want to talk real quick about where I got the seeds to do this. So if you've been following the channel, you know I do a lot with green cover seed. And I like that because number one, they have pre-made mixes that work pretty well. And number two, you can customize any seed mix that you want to plant on your place. And for me, that's what I did with this one. So I thought in my head, okay, I have goals. And my goals are I want to feed them in the food plots and I want to have screening in my food plots. So that allowed me to pick the seeds that I wanted in my mix, and they mixed it for me. And I'm only doing 4 acres. It's not like I'm buying pallets and pallets full of this mix. I think it's 5 or 6 bags. And then they ship me the bags. So they mix it, they inoculate it. All I literally need to do is calibrate the drill and dump it in and go. So I love that. Now, last year or the spring, I did order my perennial clover that I already burned off because of the weeds. I did order that from Northwoods Whitetail, John Comp, those guys up there, or that guy up there, because it's a high quality seed. It doesn't have fillers, and John puts out a lot of good content and teaches really well. So I had that, and then I just went to the feed mill and bought some feed oats to mix with it as a quick, cheap cover crop to go along when I drilled all those in. So once in a great while, I'll buy something from the local mill, but 9 out of 10 times, I'm putting together a custom mix based on what I want in my food plots. And I order it from Green Cover Seed. It's not super cheap, but it saves me a lot of time and a lot of mixing and a lot of, it automatically tells you how much to plant. It tells you what a good ratio would be, like how many pounds of clover should you do, how many pounds of oats should you do. It just does a great job. The other thing I liked about it this year is I told you I was going to put oats in here. Oats in Michigan will freeze off pretty early in the season, but these guys have a cold hardy oat, Cossack, C-O-S-A-Q-U-E, something like that. So I thought, hey, I'm going to try those and see how those do. So it looks like the deer are eating them. Now let's see how late into the season they make it after a frost. So is that something we'll be using more often? I don't know. I'm experimenting, right? Let's kind of see, let's try, let's hope it works. Okay, so in the food plots, I grew all this sorghum. So the sorghum, if you can imagine, is now 5 feet tall. I've got, I don't know, another month maybe it'll be warm enough to get some growth. And so the plots are all tall. Now what I'm doing is I went through and I cut these lanes, but just the shooting lanes, I also went through and I cut out little pockets, little circles, little trails and circles inside those food plots, again, just to make them comfortable in the daytime going out in those food plots. Actually, it's 4:06 right now. When I came out here 15 minutes ago, so it's, 3:45 in the middle of the afternoon, I spooked a deer out here. Again, shame on me, but it's the thirst for knowledge. So anyways, what that proved to me was cutting these lanes in here, these little pockets, like see that, I don't know if you can see that pocket there, but it's probably only 10 yard around. I mean, it's really not that big, but I just do and then those trails, I take the little pocket and then the trail, I kind of curve it so they can't see, they have to walk the trail, and all the trails lead into my shooting lanes. Wherever I might have one of the little pockets for them to kind of hang out and eat and get comfortable in, they follow the trail, they end up dumping them onto the shooting lanes. So I just kind of thought that was something that you might be interested in seeing. And then what about weeds out here? Okay, so I sprayed for the weeds, and how are we doing? Well, if we look down in here, there's definitely still horsenettle in here. There's definitely still horsenettle down in here. And it looks like maybe a little grass, is that foxtail maybe? A little bit of grass coming up in here too. But it looks to me like it has been set back a fair amount by the glyphosate and the shade that the sorghum and everything else is doing to compete with it. So it's got it slowed down enough so that this year we still have a crop. We still have food plots. Everything's working out. But next spring, oh, would I hate to be a Horsenettle on one of my food plots next spring, because I'm going to burn. I don't necessarily like using chemicals, but I don't think I have a choice. I have to get this under control. Well, I hope you've got your food plots all set up, your shooting lanes all set, that everything kind of turned out. You got the right amount of moisture. We could use a little moisture here, but oh well. I mean, at least it's kind of growing. So right now, here we are, September. I hope what's happening on your property is kind of same thing is happening here. The bucks are shedding velvet. Most of them are off now. Most velvet is off, probably within the last couple of days here. They're starting to move onto the property. As soon as they start losing that velvet, they start getting the testosterone going, right? And so they start splitting up and they start looking for thick property now. They start looking for where all the does are, where they're going to hang out. And we've got does galore here. It's amazing how many doe groups are on this property. We can sit in our fort at night just to do some observation and have a cocktail, a glass of wine or something. And we've got 3 or 4 different shooting lanes, and we can see a different doe group in each one of those lanes on that thing. It's just amazing how when you thicken your property up, grab that chainsaw, knock a bunch of stuff down, plant height in your food plots, deer are just, they're everywhere in there, especially if you manage it right, kind of leave it alone, make them feel comfortable. It's just been great. A couple of apple trees are starting to drop some apples, and we watch them out of the back window every morning and every night. There are groups, it's like a parade going underneath this crab apple tree to see if there's any apples that dropped. It's pretty interesting to watch. All right, well, thank you for watching. I hope that everything is going well for you. And if you got questions or comments, leave them below. Thanks for watching. God bless.